Red Sox take 2 of 3 from the Marlins, now 73 and 60 on the season, back to 13 over 500. And I'm just going to quickly recap everything from the series, the good, the bad, give a brief preview of what should be the most important series of the year coming up against the Yankees, 4-game set in the Bronx. But I want to keep this brief, so I'm just going to hop into game one. So, game one, Sox win 4-2. We'll start off with the bad, then we'll talk about the good. The bad, so Ranger Suarez, to his credit, avoided damage, only gave up one run through 5 innings. But at the same time, you have not seen him go 6 innings, let alone give you a quality start since the All-Star break, since he came back from the IL in late July. And at the same time, he was allowing a lot of traffic on the base paths. I mean, he got out of it relatively unscathed. You know, he had the bases loaded, no out jam, and all he did was give up a sac fly. You'll take that, but you really need to be seeing better stuff from Ranger. We'll talk more about it with the other two games, but just generally speaking, the starting pitching has not been giving the bullpen enough depth, and it's going to catch up eventually. Like, the bullpen cannot be good for this long. There must be some regression to the mean that occurs eventually, and so you really need to do what you can to get depth out of your starting pitching to make sure that the bullpen does not have to throw, 4 innings every game because nobody's going 6 innings. As for the good, the Sox, they came back, they battled, they only put up 1 run through 7 innings against Sandy. Don't get me wrong, Sandy, obviously a fantastic pitcher, won the Cy Young in 2022, absolute workhorse. You just see him pitch well, you have to respect him. But the Sox had their opportunities with runners in scoring position. I'm not going to really sit on that point for too long because both teams were downright horrendous with runners in scoring position the entire series. It wasn't like the Marlins were taking advantage in situations that the Sox couldn't. But what really sticks out is that position where you had the bases loaded with 1 out in the 7th inning, and then Sogard struck out, chasing a sinker below the zone, and then Sadon promptly popped out after that. Credit to the team. They battled back. Obviously, Willier had the double in the 8th inning that set up the tying run to come in. And then in the 9th inning, this team just keeps on battling back. I mean, shout out to Tony Sieglers. Anthony Siegel had an excellent triple, his first triple of his career, too. That put the Sox ahead. And then Sogard was able to get an insurance run. Overall, a good gritty win from the Sox. But you need to see more from the starting pitching. Great job on the bullpen. They really held up their end of the bargain. They've been doing it all year, and you're probably going to have Whitlock back for the Yankees series, so hopefully the good times should keep on rolling for the bullpen. Moving on to game two, once again, going to start off by talking about the starting pitching. Peyton Tolley wasn't bad by any means, only allowed 1 base runner through the first 4 innings, and it was a walk. But, you really begin to see him struggle a bit in the 5th inning, gave up a couple of hits, walked a guy. See that he clearly wasn't a strong pitching out of the stretch. And obviously with Peyton Tolley, it's all a matter of workload. The fact that, he's going on only 4 days rest, which he's usually not used to, and he's already exceeded the number of innings he's ever pitched in professional baseball before. It's something that you'll definitely have to keep an eye on. And he is your second best starter. I can't complain about him only giving up 2 earned runs through 5 innings. But at the same time, you need more from your starting pitching. You look at the Yankees, and I'm recording this at like 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, but they had like Elmer Rodriguez, a AAA guy, go and give them a quality start. And you look at the Red Sox, like, they haven't gotten a quality start in over a week. Bennett only gave up 3 earned runs, but he still gave up 4 runs in his last start. You just need more. You need more from your starting pitching because, yeah, you used 6 guys out of your bullpen. The only people you didn't use were Bayo, who pitched 2 innings the day before, and Chapman, who had to get the save in a 1 or 2 run game in both of the previous days. Now, credit to the bullpen. They were great. They pitched very well. Credit to Mickey Gasper, of course. He has been tearing the cover off the ball since coming back. Obviously, today wasn't as good a day for him. We will get into that in a short minute. But Mickey Gasper with 2 crucial home runs that were the only runs that you got until extra innings. Shout out to Wyatt Olds, who really got let down in the 10th inning. Totally should have walked away with his first ever Major League save. Monasterio made another boneheaded error, and you really begin to wonder how long the leash is with him at shortstop. With IKF looking to come back, you're I'm thinking you want to give IKF the majority of the reps. We're talking about a guy who's been pretty much a league average bat. I believe the OPS plus has been exactly 100 from IKF. And the defense is great, and he's a very versatile defender, too. It's +7 outs above average across all four positions in the infield. Whereas Monasterio's bat has been cooling down, and as his bat cools down, the defensive miscues at shortstop become increasingly more and more inexplicable. Um, and then, of course, the Connor Wong error. You can discuss whether it was a ball that Wong should have blocked or whether it was a passed ball and whether Olds missed his spot. But I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. The tying run come across on a drop third strike. That sucked. Thankfully, Jarren Duran redeemed himself off of a lefty, no less, too. I can't remember who the pitcher was for the Marlins, but throwing a breaking ball in the zone is such a boneheaded move to Duran. You can plant that in the dirt and you'll probably get the swing and miss. Duran really struggles to see breaking pitches from lefties. But great moment. Unfortunately, kind of forced Gamboa into the game, so he had to throw a bunch of pitches, but Gamboa has been great since coming up. Cannot complain about that. Will be interesting to see what the corresponding move is for Whitlock, whether it is Gamboa or Olds, but I do really like what I've been seeing from both of them. And finally, on to Game 3. Don't want to talk much about Game 3 because there really are zero positives. I will say Sonny Gray as always, gave the team a chance to win. Wasn't his finest start by any means. Gave up quite a few hits, actually. 2 earned runs, although, being entirely honest, I think only 1 run should have been earned. If that, the runs really scored on defensive miscues. And the defensive miscues are pretty inexplicable. Connor Wong continues to show why he's not serviceable as a catcher. He not only made 2 critical throwing errors that directly led to 2 runs from Otto Lopez, but he was also 0 for 5 in throwing runners out. Runners stole 5 times on him. And, you look at the game yesterday, and they threw out our fastest guy, Eli White, second, third fastest guy in the majors after Chandler Simpson or whatever. And Connor Wong couldn't throw out guys who were significantly slower, and none of the plays were particularly close. They were all comfortably stolen. You gotta hope that Adley's elbow is fine because you really need Adley's defense and his offensive production compared to Connor Wong as well. That's inexcusable. I'm more willing to let the Sogard error slide because, one, Sogard has been great for you, and the other thing with Sogard is he's literally played every position in the infield this series. He played third, he played second, he played short, he played first. I'm willing to give the guy a break. The offense really need to do more. There's just something about facing below average, right-handed starting pitching that this team cannot do much of anything about. Their starting pitcher, Gusto, third time through the order, he was allowing a 1,200 OPS on the year. He's pretty much begging you to come back into the game, and you really couldn't even muster a base runner up against that. He walked a few guys, he hit a couple of batters, but the team continued to fail to do anything with runners in scoring position. And if you were to ask me what is the most important statistic that separates a bad baseball team from a good baseball team, obviously you want good pitching, you want good defense, but hitting with runners in scoring position is really the key. You look at the hot stretch that the Sox were on in July, they were hitting with runners in scoring position. They did not do that all series. Their bullpen really bailed them out. Their bullpen is the reason why the Sox won the series. If I had to pick an MVP for the series, I mean, Mickey Asper was great, don't get me wrong, but I would have to give it to the bullpen as a whole, because the bullpen is the reason why you took 2 games in the series. And with that, you can't be too angry. I mean, it sucks, You had a chance to sweep, you lose going into the off day, just like the last game you lost against Arizona. That one was arguably worse, however. But you still won the series, and now you just need to regroup. You need to enjoy the off day, and I'm going to briefly talk about this 4-game set coming up in the Bronx because I think it is far and away the most important series of the season. I feel like the Sox had a pretty similar point at this last season. There's that game in mid to late August where they completely imploded against the Orioles. I think it was the game where Nathaniel Lowe, he hit the game-tying 2-run homer in the 9th inning. Then in the 10th inning with the bases loaded, Abraham Toro grounded into a double play. And then in the 11th inning, Nate Eden, one of the fastest guys in baseball, inexplicably did not tag up on the fly ball to Colton Cowser. And then you had what was probably the worst loss of the season for the team. And then you immediately had to go into a 4-game set in the Bronx. And the mentality was, how can we put that behind us and focus on winning 3 or 4 games or hopefully taking the sweep? Because what we do in this Yankee series is probably going to define who we are in September and leading into the playoffs. And to the Sox credit, they took 3 or 4 that series. Would have taken 4 or 4, but Dustin May is a bad pitcher. What can you say? I feel like they're at a very similar juncture at this point in time. Was today the worst loss of the season? Probably not to the extent that losing stung, because it was a game that they were never in. But as far as how they played, it was probably the worst played game of the season if you just look at what the defense and the offense did, or what they didn't do. But it's absolutely critical that you go into the series against the Yankees, and not that you necessarily win the series. You don't need to sweep them. You do not need to take 3 or 4 from them. All that you have to do is split the series, and here's the reason why. You are 5-4 against the Yankees right now. You split the series, you go 7-6 against them, you win the season series, and that gives you home playoff advantage in what is pretty clearly shaping up to be a Red Sox versus Yankees wildcard series again. Now, you can talk about why home field advantage is important. I'll give you 2 primary reasons. One is you need that home crowd behind you at Fenway. We saw last year in the wild card series how the Yankees having the home crowd behind them was able to help them. You look in Game 3, and what got the Yankees scoring started is when Cody Bellinger hit a double in between our 2 Gold Glove outfielders, and the ball dropped because they couldn't hear each other coordinating who got the ball because of how loud the crowd was. So obviously, home crowd advantage is a huge deal. Second has to do with the profiles of the Yankees hitters, though. You look at that short porch in Yankee Stadium, it is built perfectly for hitters like Ben Rice, like Trent Grisham, like Cody Bellinger, Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm. They just have so many lefties in their lineup who mash home runs that are all second deck to the short porch and that don't get out at Fenway's deep right field. The one guy that you have to be the most worried about pitching to at Fenway, Giancarlo Stanton, who's crushed the ball at Fenway, you won't have to worry about him. He's not going to be playing again this season. Really, Aaron Judge, maybe some pinch hitting or platoon shenanigans from Ahmed Rosario or Jose Caballero. Those are really the only things that you are going to have to worry about. But if you play at Fenway Park, you have a huge advantage. We are talking about Yankees lefties with a lot of power that do not excel at taking the ball the other way. They do not excel at driving the ball towards the monster, taking their doubles. And so that, along with the home field advantage, is why it's incredibly critical that you don't even win the series, but that you take 2 of 4. You look at the Game 1 preview, not looking great if you want to get a win. You have to go up against Cam Schlittler. He has, A, dominated against the Red Sox in general, but B, particularly in Yankee Stadium. Obviously, he struck out double-digit batters over 8 shutout innings in the playoffs. And then earlier this year, back in May, he threw 5 1/3 innings of 1-run ball. So that's 13 1/3 innings. He's only allowed 1 earned run pitching against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. Meanwhile, the Sox, they have They have Patrick Sandoval going. Sandoval looked decent in his last outing. He gave up 2 home runs, but went through 5 2/3 innings without any other damage. Problem, the guy has not thrown a quality start this season. He's not thrown a quality start in 2 years, and you really need him to give you depth. You need him to go 6 innings. You need that bullpen to be well rested. And the problem with being in a very disadvantageous position for Game 1 is that Game 1 sets the tone for the rest of the series. And you find that you're already in a hole if you can't hit off of Schlittler. Now, of course, I have faith in the Sox team. Maybe that's stupid for me, too. They couldn't hit off a bad righty. Why are they going to hit off the guy who, why are they going to hit off the guy who's going to win the Cy Young Award? But the Red Sox seemingly have a way of making bad right-handed starting pitching look good, and sometimes they do well off of good right-handed starting pitching. See Logan Webb. They've scored runs off of Dylan Cease twice as well. Obviously, they scored 4 runs off of Schlittler last time we faced him. Inexplicably, none of those runs were earned. They probably all should have been earned, but you know, there's no point. There's no point in dwelling on that. If you look at the game two matchup, I'm actually going to double check the game two matchup because game two is a doubleheader, which means that they haven't necessarily announced the starters who are going that game. Now, for the Yankees, um, they've announced the starters for game one. They haven't announced the starters for game two of the doubleheader. Game one's going to be Jake Bennett against Carlos Rodon. I like this matchup. I think the Red Sox hit exceptionally well off of lefties, being able to slot Jahmai Jones into that leadoff spot, whereas he's hit 500 this season for you, is a huge advantage. I think that the Red Sox have had Rodon's number in the past, and I think that it gives them a very good opportunity to start the scoring going. Rodon may still be on a pitch limit because it is only his second start back from the IL. And if you look at Jake Bennett, obviously Jake Bennett has been struggling a lot over the past month. He had a decent enough bounce back his last start on Sunday, where he did end up going 7 innings, allowed 4 runs, only 3 of which were earned because of the Little League home run. But Jake Bennett pitched very well the last time he faced the Yankees, didn't give up a hit until that solo homer to Max Schumann in the 5th inning, and in general, just to throw 4 lefties against the Yankees, which is what we're going to do, against a lineup that has a lot of lefty power hitters, it should neutralize the Ben Rices and the Jazz Chisholms and the Trent Grishams. And the Yankees really don't have a power right-handed bat at the moment because they do not have Judge, they do not have Stanton. Now, we do not know what the matchup is going to be for Game 3. That would be the nightcap on Saturday. If I had to guess, there's a chance that the Yankees activate Max Fried off the IL. Hoping that won't happen because the Red Sox cannot hit Max Fried, and I would really not like to have to face both of their 2 best pitchers. The other thing is for the Red Sox, hasn't been announced who's going yet. If I had to guess, it will probably be Peyton Tolley, but we'll have to see how that goes. They might end up asking Bayo to go for them. Bayo has done well against the Yankees in his career, but yeah, Peyton Tolley would be going on 4 days rest, I believe, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. No, he'd be going on 3 days rest. It feels very unrealistic to push that for Peyton Tolley. Unless there's something I'm missing. No, they've already announced. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. They've already announced that Tolley is going to be starting on Monday against the Mariners. So, very unclear what's going to happen on Saturday. If the Yankees pitch Fried, my guess is it is going to be a bullpen game that is headlined by Bayo going 4 or 5, maybe even 6 innings out of the pen. Unclear who would be the opener for that game. I believe Eduardo Rivera might be on the IL right now, so he might not be the one who's called up out of Worcester. If I had to guess, they're probably going to ask Gamboa to open that game for them. And Gamboa really was the first success you had as an opener the last time you tried him out. In the bullpen game that the Sox had on Saturday, I believe. Maybe it was Friday. But long story short, that could very well be a bullpen game. And I like our bullpen. I like our bullpen better than our starting pitchers. That's a game I feel confident in, especially if Max Fried is not going to go off the IL. You are probably going to be going up against some weaker Yankees hitting. And then finally, the Sunday matchup, Ranger Suarez v. Will Warren. Obviously, I like that matchup. Will Warren is far and away the weakest of the Yankee starters when they have a healthy rotation. Probably wouldn't even make their starting rotation when it's fully healthy. I'm sure Clark Schmidt would take that spot, but obviously he's been out for well over a year now with Tommy John recovery. Against Ranger Suarez, obviously you'd love for Ranger to bounce back. Once again, has not given you a quality start in what seemingly feels like over a month and a half. Didn't pitch well against the Yankees when he faced them back in April. Obviously gave up a 3-run home run in the first inning, and that was more than enough run support for the Yankees to cruise to a win there. But I'll tell you what, I don't like Game 1. I like Game 2 against Rodon. We'll see what the matchup is for Game 3, but I trust their bullpen if that's how we choose to go. And I like the matchup for Game 4. I think that Will Warren is a very, very hittable Yankees hitter. I don't think we win all 3 of those games. I'm not asking for us to win all 3 of those games. All I need is a split. All I need is for you to secure that pivotal tiebreak against the Yankees, because in the plausible event that you both finish with the same record, maybe you're both 90, 91, 92 win team, that tiebreak is probably going to determine who moves on to face the Rays in the ALDS and who goes home. It's just both teams need home field. Both teams need home field advantage. Both teams need to play to their park profiles, or in the Red Sox case, to deprive the Yankees of playing to their park's profile. And obviously, home field advantage and the biggest rivalry in sports can go a huge way. That's all I have to say. 20 minutes, surprisingly, primarily spent talking about the Yankees, not even recapping the Marlins series. And, you know, I will probably record another one of these after the Yankee series. I've been meaning to record more of these highlight-esque videos, preview of the next series too. And there's a pretty good chance that I'll go to one of the games over the weekend. Not often I get to catch the Sox play, because I live in New Jersey, which is kind of 4 hours away from Boston, but New York's right there, and so I'll pick a game to go to. Might go to the Friday game because I don't have Apple TV, and that game is only on Apple TV. But at the same time, I really don't want to watch Patrick Sandoval pitch. Fortunately, no Sonny Gray. Obviously, he's the ace of our rotation, but he went today and got no run support. So, yeah, that sucks. All right, though. I think that's all for now.